Welcome back to Breakfast with Bob. My name is Bob Babbitt. We're ignited by Athlinks. We are at the legendary Blueprint for Athletes, Leadville 100 mountain bike race. And with us, the two-time champion, the defending champion, first time getting to wear that number one race plate, Mr. Todd Wells. Todd, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Excited to be back here in Leadville.
Yeah. Three-time Olympian. Winning Leadville here a couple times. Talk a little bit about the first time you came here.
Yeah, so the first time that I came to Leadville, I swore I wouldn't come back.
Really?
Yeah, I had come straight from some World Cup cross-country racing in Europe, short, hour and a half, sea-level events, just super high intensity.
Yeah.
And straight to 10,000 feet, 100-plus miles, over an hour-long climb. Totally different from what I had done. Blew up about a third of the way up Columbine.
One of our medals fell down.
and rode the rest 55 miles by myself cross-eyed back into town. So I swore that was it, and then sure enough, next year I was on the start line.
On the start line, and what did you do differently? And meanwhile, you still took second, right?
The first year I was third.
Third?
Yeah.
Oh, what a bummer.
I had a crash.
You're still on the podium.
Also that year. Yeah, still on the podium. And then the next year I could prepare properly.
Yes.
Here in Colorado, I live not too far from here, Durango, about 4 or 5 hours, although it's a bit lower in elevation, about 4,000 feet lower than Leadville. So went up, did altitude preparation for about 3 weeks before, big volume, less cross-country racing, threw in a couple longer marathons, and completely changed my perception of the race.
And we're going to throw up a graphic of the course itself. You know, you start at 10, you go up to 12.5, it goes up and down throughout the day. Talk about the challenges of dealing, and you're a guy who lives at altitude, but you still have to do some higher altitude training to get ready for this. What type of training do you do at altitude?
Yeah, so as you know, or as anyone that's ridden or exercised at altitude, just walking up the stairs of the condo, it's the first thing you notice when you get to, I feel like, anywhere above really 5,000 feet. And then as you go up from 5,000 feet, incrementally it gets harder. So you go up 1,000 feet to 6,000 feet, it's not bad. It's worse, but it's worse than 5,000, but not too bad. But you go from 9 to 10 or 10 to 11, and those are the jumps that you really feel. So in addition to staying, there's a town near us, Silverton, that I stay at, is about 9,300 feet. I've spent a little bit of time in Breckenridge. That's around 95, and all the trails go up from there. So just becoming comfortable at that altitude. Even you come to Leadville, whether you're an athlete or not, you wake up in the middle of the night gasping for breath. You have dry nose, dry mouth, and it's it's just a completely different animal. Yeah. And so being able to prepare for it really helps.
Talk about last year's race, because you won by 18 seconds. And it was one of those races where people went back and forth throughout you usually don't have that many position changes in a 100-mile race. Talk a little bit about how that played out last year.
Yeah, so we started and we got over the first climb, St. Kevin's, I believe. Yeah. Is that Sugarloaf, St. Kevin's? Yeah, they all blend together out there. Got over the first one in a group of 4, Albin, Christoph, Heineck, and myself.
Right.
And going down power line, the next climb, Christoph flatted, so there were 3 of us. Yes. We rolled through pipeline together, the second aid station. Shortly after that, Albin flatted, so then it was just Heineck and I. We rode together.
And was it Heineck's first time here?
Heineck's first time here. But, he's been medalist at Marathon World Champs and Albin's partner at the Cape Epic, so he is he's one of the best guys in the world.
Exactly.
So, we rode together about just under halfway, maybe halfway up Columbine. I came off his wheel. I couldn't hold his pace. And you get to the exposed section above tree line, and you're going so slowly. Windy. It's high, 12,000 feet. And you're going like 4 miles an hour.
Oh my God.
The computer's auto-pausing and the helicopter's flying around over us. It's loose shale. It's hard just to keep moving forward. So I could see them, and at altitude, you see the people there right there, but you can't do that acceleration to get there. So anyway, I thought I might catch him on the descent, he built up a bigger lead going back, and there's a long section from pipeline feed zone to power line climb, road, headwind, straight, falls flat. Feels like you should be going fast, but you look down and it's like 12 miles an hour, 13 miles an hour. And so I couldn't see him, but I knew Christoph and Albin were together chasing coming back, because when you turn around at the Columbine at the top of the mountain, you can see where you are. So I knew they were coming. And that was probably the most challenging part of the race for me, keeping motivation to keep pushing when no one in front, not being able to see anyone behind. Anyway, couldn't see Heineck on power line. We came down the backside, and I saw this guy on the dirt road, and he was weaving a little bit, and I thought maybe he's just a random guy out there riding, you know.
Yeah.
Sure enough, it was Heineck. He had blown to the moon. Past him, and then I knew that it was my race to lose at that point. But, of course, Susie and Albin chasing from behind, and I'm constantly looking back, and the way Leadville finishes, it's a long, flat, false flat, gradual uphill dirt road.
That goes forever.
I mean, you're tired. It's probably only 1 or 2 miles, but it probably takes like 10 minutes at the end of that race. And looking back, all of a sudden, I'm almost to the part where you turn onto the paved road, and from there it's, less than 5 minutes to the finish. Sure enough, I see this red streak coming, and he is going about 3 times as fast as I am going.
Christoph.
Yep, it's Christoph. And, we have a good not a rivalry, because, I mean, he is a class of his own with so many world championships and everything, but we like to give each other a hard time quite a bit. So having him there, I was dead, but I was able to up it just that little bit. I knew I could beat him in the sprint.
Right.
But it's a roller to get to the finish line, and I knew if he caught me on that he would, drop me. I wouldn't be able to stay on his wheel. So I got to enjoy that race for about 5 seconds of the whole day. It was a hard day.
Was that one of the closest races you've ever had at a distance like that?
Yeah. Usually at Leadville, the times when, all the previous times I've done it, I've spent the majority of the day coming back alone.
Right. So talk about, so you got Christoph Sauser coming back, right, who got second last year. Then at the same time, you've got Albin, who's a 2-time champion. You've got Christian, who had that 5-minute lead with basically 25 miles to go. Who else do you see, and what makes those guys special?
Yeah, well, there's always,
there's always somebody.
There's always somebody that is kind of a little bit off the radar that you think could have a good day. For instance, this year, Jeremiah Bishop, he's he does a lot of endurance races.
Yeah.
He's been racing with Christian and Albin all season. They just did a couple days at the Breck Epic right around the corner. So he'll be, he could be up there. And then, I mean, you look at between Christoph and Albin, and they probably have like 8 world championship jerseys or something between them.
Whole collection.
And I don't know, maybe 10 Cape Epic wins, or they're just.
Yeah, Christoph's got 5 himself.
Yeah, and Heineck, I mean, he's a big motor. He's I think he won the Epic 2 years ago with, if not Albin.
And you probably learned a little bit from last year.
Yeah, and I mean, he rides with Albin all the time, and that's another key thing. A lot of people come here. Even the first year Albin came, that was the first year I won. And he had a flat tire that year, but he came back, and he charged back and caught me at the top of Columbine. But it was a similar situation to Heineck, where we came back and there's a little piece of single track just after the Twin Lakes, before the pipeline aid station. We hit that, and he just detonated. So the altitude, it's strange. These are the best guys in the world, and it creeps up on you.
You never know. Hey, Todd, best of luck. And it'll be the first time you get to wear the number 1 plate, even though you won before.
Yep, I'm looking forward to that. So if anything else, I'm going to look good out there with that number 1 plate.
And do you have to do a pretty good warm-up for a race like this? Because usually you're talking about 100 miles, you sort of ease into it. But you're going downhill at 35 miles an hour and 30-degree temperature on a road. And it's really important to be up as far front as you can, right, before you get to the dirt.
Exactly. We do start 35 miles an hour in the group downhill for about 10, 12 minutes.
Yeah.
And rolls a little bit, and boom, steep climb. And the guys, the past couple of years have gone up at, max effort to hold on.
Way too fast.
Way too fast. So I personally do a little bit of a warm up. I know Christoph, he likes to ride on the rollers and really just get his body heat going. Because even more than a normal warm up for a shorter race, just getting that heat built up so you're not so cold at the bottom of that first climb.
Yeah, love it. Todd Wells has been our guest. Again, this is Breakfast with Bob. We are ignited by Athlinks. We are at the Blueprint for Athletes, Leadville 100 mountain bike race. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Hold on. We'll be right back.